by taking roll call from my left, please.
B.T. Zimmerman, Ellen Johnston,
Rob Domas,
Ashley Cockerham,
Elida Snow,
Ron Goodman,
Sam Rosling.
Kriston Martin.
Okay, at this time, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will be doing student recognition. Let's start with Mrs. Martineau presenting Wilder Benefield.
no, just one.
So good evening, I'm Melissa Martineau. This is Wilder Benefield. He's in my second grade class. Here's a fun fact that's not going to make me seem old at all, but his dad, Derek, who's here with him, and Allie, but Derek was in my first kindergarten class, 1995, 96. So full circle of life, now I'm your teacher, huh? So Bob was a little bit nervous, but we're going to do great, right? I'm a little bit nervous too. So last time I came, I talked about Roar, so I wanted to link his characteristics to Roar. So the first R is for respect. Wilder shows respect to adults and children alike. Doesn't matter who is speaking to him, he looks them in the eye. He says okay when he's told to do something, even if he doesn't like it. I don't even know if he doesn't like anything. He just has a great attitude and he says okay and does it. O is for organization. Aldrich, I'm sorry, that's my son's name. Wilder is organized. We have an organization time in the morning. He goes to the bathroom, he gets drinks, he's got his pencil sharpened. He has his homework folder back and forth from home. He's one of the few kids that turned in an October booklet completed, so he reads at home, has mom and dad sign it, bring it back. So very organized. Good job, Wilder. Attitude, like I said, he has a great attitude. He's always following the directions, saying okay. Has wonderful handwriting. I always tell the kids they have to have neat handwriting for these old teacher eyes of mine. So he takes his time and he writes neatly. Responsibility. Wilder is always responsible. He works diligently. He's excited to learn. He knows school is important. He comes every day so he can be an engineer. That's one of the things he wants to be. Yes, and he's very interested in learning about the ferals. So Mrs. Marno has to teach about the ferals one of these times. So I emailed his ancillary teachers, and I want to read you the responses because there are often kids that can behave in the classroom, but as soon as they leave your perimeter of your room, they are not so careful at being responsible, organized, having good attitude, and responsible. So here are his ancillary teachers. Mrs. Lee, his guidance teacher, said, Wilder is exceptional in his participation, respect, and consideration of others. Mrs. Spencer, the tech tools teacher, emailed, Wilder is a hard worker. He listens respectfully to learn how to use the digital tools taught. He is helpful and kind to his classmates and always has a good attitude that is contagious when I see him. Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Hodel, your PE teachers, wrote, Wilder is a hard worker, follows directions well, gets along well with others, is extremely kind, respectful, and responsible. We love having him in PE. And Miss Houston, his music teacher, wrote, Wilder is the picture of Roar behavior. He is kind to his classmates and respects the rules of the classroom. As soon as he enters the classroom, Wilder is ready to learn and is curious about new topics. He encourages others in his class to do their best and always has a positive attitude. His recognition is well earned and deserved. Wilder Benefield.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Miss Bell presenting Declan Hibbs. Thanks, guys.
Hi there, my name is Miss Bell. I am, and this is Declan Hibbs. I am Declan's fifth grade teacher at Libby Elementary School. I spoke with Declan and got some information about him, so I'm going to share that now. Declan is the son of Chelsea and John. He has two brothers, Aiden and Tristan. He says his favorite subject in school is math, although this afternoon I did hear him exclaim that he hated math and it frustrated him. So we're not sure about that. I heard it. His favorite thing to do on the playground is play tag, and he says he hopes he is able to play baseball in the spring. When not in school, Declan says he enjoys riding his bike and playing video games. On the weekends, he enjoys playing outside when the weather allows it, and he likes helping out his uncle with the firewood collection. He says when he grows up, he wants to be a firefighter like his dad, and is planning to attend college when he is older. Declan is consistently demonstrating roaring in wherever he goes, roaring behaviors at school. He is always ready and eager to learn and an absolute joy to have in class. He actively participates in classroom discussions and always has a smile for everyone. Everyone I've talked to about Declan always says to me, oh, he is such a great kid. So I am very pleased to recognize Declan Hibbs for you tonight.
Okay, next will be Miss Germany presenting Brooklyn and Mackenzie.
I'm lucky I get to do two. I feel bad for them because, a lot of people probably see twins and think they're together, but they're very separate, very different personalities. But why I'm happy I get to do the two of them at the same time is because these two are from Spokane, and they're just came to us this year, and they transitioned into our school, our community so easily, and they demonstrated a great way of how you can join in. Oftentimes it's hard to come to a new school, especially with kids that have been coming to school for years together, since like kindergarten. So seamless, they have made friends, and they have just demonstrated how you can be part of this school in such a great way. So separate them. Brooklyn, this is Mackenzie. Brooklyn has worked really hard on becoming organized this year, and worked hard getting more organized with the help of her sister. She's been getting work in, and then at lunch, when she ever gets behind, she stays in, decides she needs to keep working on it with the help of Mackenzie watching over her, and oftentimes showing her how to do work on the whiteboard. But she's brave enough to come in front of the whole class, demonstrate the math, and show us very neatly just how to do it. And she's very well organized, listens to what I'm saying, easily corrects it. And Mackenzie is very strong at math. She actually found some papers last week from my pre-algebra class. Decided, for fun, I'm just going to do pre-algebra math on my downtime. Solved it within a day. Didn't have to even show her how to do it. But what I want to share about her is there's a young boy in our class who's often seen as, a little bit different. And a lot of kids just kind of side-eyeing stuff. She just decided one day to be partners with him and continued being partners with him. And so quietly, I went up to her and I said, thank you. She was like, yeah, nonchalantly. Of course, he's just a nice kid. She sees only the positive in people. No judgment in her eyes. She is, but yeah, he's awesome. Doesn't see what other kids see. And she's just amazing about that. And still not knowing it was a big deal. And that's who she is. Both these girls are just genuine, kind girls. And I'm so honored they're in our school. So.
Okay, next we have Miss Taney presenting Ashlyn James.
All right, so I have, my name is Mrs. Taney. I switched from the elementary school to the high school this year, and I have with me Ashlyn James. When I was deciding her for Student of the Month, I came up with quite a few adjectives to describe her, some of them being responsible, diligent, respectful, great communication skills, amazing critical thinking, perseverance, and always giving 100%. Even though some days are rough, right? And she always has a smile. Last week we had a cook-off with our foreign exchange students. And she came after school and we were washing dishes together. So kudos to her parents as well for teaching her that, because for a high schooler to come wash dishes with me was pretty amazing. And some other things that she has, her goal for next year is to be the valedictorian. She's in a close race with 2 other students, so we'll see who wins the race for valedictorian. She plans to be a graphic designer, and her goal is to go to North Carolina State University. She is on the volleyball team. She's been playing volleyball for 7 years. She is a cheerleader. She plays tennis. She's on student council, and she's in DPA. So she's very busy, but on top of that, her academics are always also very important to her. And some things that she likes to do for fun are reading, shopping, and being a plant mom. And one more thing, even though I'm the one presenting her, she still said her favorite class is chemistry, which I guess is fine. And she said that's because it goes fast and it's very interesting. So I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work this year.
Okay, next, Mr. Goodman will present McKenna Hannah.
I'm gonna break it up and move over here.
Well, I'm here to represent the teachers upstairs, and McKenna was chosen as a student of the month at Central School. And I would say, first of all, McKenna is one of the nicest students that has ever been around. She's never done, I don't think she even thought about being mean once. She's very kind to everybody, and she's just a really great person to have upstairs. So what I've heard from the teachers is that, unfortunately, you'll be moving here shortly, is that correct? She'll be moving, and you already have a job, is that correct?
Yeah.
And she wants to go into real estate field, and wants to be a real estate person, is that correct as well? So I just think it'd be really great when you become a real estate tycoon, that you go ahead and make sure that you're a member of us here in Libby. So I just am really, really proud of the work that McKenna has done. She has completed almost all of her work at this point, and she is ready to graduate. And so we just want to say thank you and congratulations. And we consider you as a really great model of student in Libby Public Schools. So thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, if we could get all the kids out in the hall to take pictures, that would be awesome.
She must be warmer there. She hasn't taken one of her fan yet.
Yeah, I'm just right. Ask Leslie, she's probably warmer than any of us. She has her own heater. Oh, yes.
Yeah, good. Beginning of a new quarter. Yeah, so it always makes it nice fun. Yeah. Just a lot of faith. You gotta do that once in a while in school, right? That's how it is. Uh-huh.
We're one more day closer to spring. I got to be positive. I got it in the top. It's my only fish. One more day closer.
Sometimes people are like wishful.
No, now come on. It is. It was just a black house. Just dark and wet. I had to go into Rosas. Well, you don't go into Rosas. Okay, I got him in front of the door. Now where do I go? I asked Linda to send that in years ago, and she did not become a chance. I've never seen from
These are helpful for us, isn't it?
Yeah, she said, oh, no, she said, that's how big it's That's why it's like.
Yeah.
But it fell in, but grab a loaf of bread, you have to find it, but you can buy any kind of goodies you want. And then she looked real quick to make sure I didn't have any. Said no, not until it's going to make fun of me. Ooh,
Like that.
I like that one.
So did Myron. It's super duper.
Every Christmas, I think I'm going to take away without making it. And one of the grandkids, and you are making, and so I make it. It reminds me of, and I always end up just giving most of it away. Well, I mean, after everybody comes and then everybody just takes, that's enough. So,
Doing business.
Okay.
well, it's not that it's hard to make. I mean.
Okay, then moving on, at this time, I invite any member of the audience to briefly address the trustees on any item that is not on the agenda. Okay. Then we will move on to setting of December's monthly meetings. December 2nd for the special board agenda meeting at 4:30 and December 9th for the 6:30 regular board meeting. If that works for everybody, I need a motion, please.
Second.
I have a motion by BG and a second by Sam to approve of December's monthly minutes as listed. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay. October's minutes. Did we all get a chance to read and check over those?
Yeah, that October 14th, I talked to Leslie about it. There's a Hartley, trustee Hartley in there. So
Oh,
I don't know who made that motion, but that needs to be corrected.
okay. Okay, so a motion to approve with corrections?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as listed with the correction as noted.
Second.
I have a motion by Sam and a second by Rob to approve October's minutes as listed with corrections. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay, budget and finance.
Hey, I make a motion that we approve the October 2024 trustees financial report. The total being $1,222,346.26. Approved warrants 16943 through 17054. No voided warrants.
Second.
I have a motion by Kriston and a second by Sam to approve October's trustees financial report. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay, let's start with the leadership team. Ms. Goodwill, how about you first tonight?
Absolutely.
Okay, attendance slightly down from last month. I think overall it's slightly down from last month, but not severely. We're at 90.78, 543 students. The 4 new students, 3 of which were homeschooled at the beginning of the year and now are back with us. So. PBIS updates, in addition to grade levels with the highest attendance percentage receiving the rewards for the month, each classroom can earn rewards through 95%. We have some that are working on 10 already. So we're, in fact, let's see, some have finished 10. We're out to bring the dodgeball of peers with a couple of classrooms. 172 students had perfect attendance and got a backpack tag in the month of October. That's probably the largest that we've had so far, perfect attendance per month. Kindergarten is the highest attendance rate with a 92.52 for last month. The lowest was just 1.27% below that. So first through seventh place, 1.27% was the difference. Our October positive referrals. It's always a good group of kids to have. We had 2 third graders this month because we had 1 sick the month before. Our discipline data, moderate behaviors. There were 86 moderate behaviors, 26 of them for defiance and disrespect in the and 40 of those which were in the classroom. The crazy thing is, last month and the month before, first grade was the highest amount. This month, sixth grade had 26 of those 86 referrals. 25 of them on Wednesdays, so it's become our highest day of the week. 16 of them were at 2 p.m., and that was probably right after the afternoon recesses. And then 60 of those were male students. When you look at the 47 major events, 38 different students, 8 of them for abusive and inappropriate language. 16 were physical aggression of some kind, pushing, that type of thing. 2 were overt defiance. And then 7 were chronic moderate behavior. So if you take the 86 on the other side, when a kid gets his third moderate, then it becomes a chronic moderate behavior. So those behaviors are actually coming from the moderate side and now are a chronic behavior onto the majors. So.
And so one of our continued focuses is strengthening our MTSS processes and standard operating procedures. So our school leadership team and our PBIS team have a big role in making sure there's a think tank focusing, SLT focuses on core instruction, strengthening that. We're talking a lot about using grade level standards. And then the PBIS focuses on those behavior universals that we look at the data to determine where are some hot spots. So like yellow pod bathroom is on the table for Thursday as a topic of conversation because there's been quite a bit of vandalism, really a high number of students sent at any one time to use restroom facilities that only have 3 stalls. So it kind of becomes a potty party for some. They like to, it's just kids are kids. And so as adults, we have to look at how do we increase structures and support to mitigate that. And so that'll be discussed at this Thursday's PBIS meeting, as well as 2 of the members of our district level behavior team and myself have an idea to possibly write a grant, if PBIS is on board, to come up with universal regulation stations in each classroom. So it would be the same type of chair, the same box of tools and or fidgets, the same timer, and the same instructions. So that is also on the table on Thursday's PBIS meeting. So there's always ideas flowing to figure out how can we strengthen the tier 1 universals so that kids are successful, and we've structured our campus for success. And our MTSS, that's okay. And our MTSS Tier 2 meetings continue this year. One we focus on is academic, and one is behavior. Behavior is including attendance. So this is by grade level teams. We meet during the course of the school day during our collaborative sessions. And it becomes a problem-solving session. We talk about our MTSS pathway. We look at discipline data for behavior, what's been tried, what are next steps for Tier 2 interventions, and then the same for academic. Talking about student achievement, what are our current interventions, are kids responding to those, looking at the intervention plans for children receiving those Tier 2 interventions in 8-week intervals. And then a new team this year is our school-wide intensive support team meetings, and this is for students receiving or possibly needing to receive Tier 3 support and intervention. It's been a really strong addition, and there's been some really good outcomes with that think tank that meets every Thursday morning. So it's been a real positive in supporting some of our highest need students. And we continually develop the MTSS process and how we track student progress in response to intervention using Branching Minds, which is a platform that houses behavior, it houses academics, all parent contacts, any supporting documents connected to that child. It's in one place, so anyone serving that child has access to this collaborative platform. So we are in year 3, and the teachers are doing a bang-up job using this tool to support kids. And we do have upcoming professional development. It's an all-staff meeting. It's going to be presented by Kayla Friss and Stephanie Shaw, and they are going to work with our staff on understanding and supporting student needs and learning styles. Our SLT meeting is 11/21. I invite any of you to join us if you're able. And then, of course, parent-teacher conferences on the 25th and 26th. And so another one of our big dogs is instruction, fidelity to state standards via the core, small group, differentiated instruction, 90% intellectual engagement, and instruction that's data-driven. These are some highlights of some really good partnerships and some hands-on. Our 6th grade, Mrs. Winslow is doing an outstanding job of making science very relevant for our 6th grade students, incorporating much hands-on and labs, experiments, which I think is a great addition, and it's growth for our 6th grade science curriculum. So she had the students working on cells, and so their culminating activity was they got to create cell models out of candy and other sweet treats. And they did a really good job, and it led to that. I mean, there was a lot that led up to that activity. So they not only had to create it, but they also had a think sheet where they had to then describe what each candy represented and what that cell part's function was. And then we continue to have a great partnership with Mr. Moe, bringing his 8th grade students down to work with our 3rd grade students in Indian Ed for All games. And this is kind of on a rotation and continual. And I know that the 8th grade students as well as the 3rd grade students benefit a lot from learning from one another. And we also had the privilege of having Mrs. Taney's advanced English students on campus to work with Mrs. Berry's 5th grade class on folk tales, I think, or fairy tales. I can't remember what the exact, but they did a really good job of partnering with them, and students learning from students is a very meaningful partnership. And continue with instruction, 3rd grade students, when they do multiple stories in the Wonders curriculum on immigration. And so part of what they do is bring in guest speakers, and we've got 2 under our roof who are immigrants. So they do a really nice job of volunteering their time to share their experiences with our 3rd grade students. So that happened just last week.
Canada, where's the other one from?
Sweden. And then our very own Mr. Gallagher was presented to 6th grade students' social studies class about Mesopotamia. And our masked window 1 testing is going well. We are in week 5 of mask testing, so it's wrapping up for window 1. And we've already started to have data come in. If you go to the next slide. So the mask data for math, this is an example of the front page of a classroom testlet report. What we have found is that it's very useful for not only the classroom teacher, but then when you synthesize that information, it can show areas of strength and areas of need instructionally as a grade level. The state at this time is not providing a grade level view. That's something we've got to work on on our end. That's something at the end of the year, they said they would provide. But this particular report for math, it shows the percentage of children who are intensive, targeted, and proficient. And for the math, they've done a great thing and they've connected any misconceptions with a particular standard. They let you know how many kids per class, and there are more pages to this report, and it drills down to the child level. So again, it shows where does that child fall? Are they intensive, targeted, or proficient? And what are that particular student's misconceptions? So I think it's very useful, and the way that the data rolls, it's the week before. That following Thursday, you get the data for the assessments taken the week prior. So it's timely. So reading, this is an example of what Mrs. Gruber has created for the reading, the literary, and then she'll do the same once the informational data is available. And this will help SLT, grade levels, and teachers, again, identify standards of strength and weakness. So there are the indicators over to the far left. And then as you go through on the right, those are specific standards that are connected to each indicator. So it's created this where it's really easy to see at a glance where are areas of strength and where do we need to really focus. And this is, thus far, this is the average for mass data across our campus. Again, the state's not providing it this way. We have to put our heads together and do some math. But it just shows that there's work to be done. And this really reflects what we also saw in our fall benchmark data. So the goal is to see growth over time with each mass window. And then our third big dog is family and community engagement. There was another family newsletter that I sent out last week, and I got some good feedback from families. Also, parent-teacher conferences is another way of connecting families with the education of their children. So that is coming up, and I know teachers are looking forward to working and partnering with families to support kids. And some other family engagement and community engagement was during Red Ribbon Week. Of course, the kindergarten has their annual pumpkin carving, pumpkin math that leads to carving, where they bring families in and they work with groups of kids on counting the seeds and picking out, weighing it. They do all kinds of cool math related tasks before they carve. And then we also had students design Red Ribbon Week grocery bags that were then delivered back to Rosars so that our community gets to enjoy the artwork from Libby students. And those were the winning bags that were selected and voted upon.
Who's the blueberry?
I forget. You know what? I think that was
Superhero.
I got my
It's
blue
the
dance
Devan
from
just
last
went.
Really? Random blueberry distillery.
And then today we honored our veterans at our annual Veterans Day flag ceremony. So it's a very somber event. The kids do a really good job. And Mr. Gallagher gives a brief history of Veterans Day. And we have honored guests that put the flag up before we do the pledge. And then a high school student plays taps. So it's a nice joint effort to honor our veterans. And we have holiday music upcoming, so mark your calendars. The 6th grade band concert at the Memorial Center on the 16th, and then the 19th and 20th are our Christmas programs that Miss Houston has been already working diligently with the grade levels on preparing for. So you won't want to miss it.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys breaking down the discipline thing. That's good metrics for us to look at. Is there any way we can get maybe the previous months with that so we can kind of see if it's going up or going down? to see if what you guys are doing is working, just from our perspective. And also, how is the staff? How is their mindset? How is their overall well-being this year compared to last year? Are you seeing any improvement with the staff?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
good. Thank you. That was it.
Any other questions?
No, but I do like the way you broke down and explained, the moderate.
Yeah, that was
I
really nice.
I really appreciated that, yeah.
Okay, then moving on, next we will go with our student representative.
Alrighty. So there were a couple events that were pretty fun. So we had Halloween and like a lot of students dressed up, so it was pretty fun. There were a lot of good costumes. It was a lot of fun. And then we did the blood drive. A lot of people signed up for that, so it was really good. Almost all of our time slots were filled. And it was a lot of fun. People were very good. The Veterans Day Assembly, that was today. It was really good. The choir and band were really good. It was a lot of fun. It was like very well laid out. I think we did pretty good on the decorations. And as Ms. Kidwell explained, for advanced English, we went over to the elementary school and we would divide like folktales. My groups was like resolving conflicts and we would participate with the kids. That was a lot of fun. Candy works very well.
Good motivator, huh?
Very good motivator. But they were, besides the candy, they were actively participating. They were listening. They were picking on our presentations a little bit, but it was very funny. There was constructive criticism, so it was very good. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Well, thank you.
It's nice to have a student report.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, Mr. Germany.
Just kind of spin off on that, if there's a picture of it. I thought today, if you haven't been to one of the Veteran Days assemblies, it's truly, it gives me chills every time. At the very end, when we play the taps and they play the bell for every person that's passed that's from Libby, it's a powerful, powerful moment. And I gotta just echo what she said, a band and choir. Oh my gosh, did they rock today? I mean, Mr. Lewis has not missed a beat. The band. Yes, it is. But then they did a joint one where they played, the band played and the choir sang, and I didn't think it was going to drown each other. It was magnificent. I just love that Miss Brown always has just a little twist, and Mr. Lewis has made a great name for himself his first few weeks. Great they did. Okay. So you can head on in here. I usually start off with these. Our numbers didn't change a whole lot. It was literally a push, so I didn't change anything from our numbers from last slide. That's kind of where we are from the beginning to the end. We lost a couple to homeschool, but we also got a couple newbies come in. So it's a push on our population. Our goal that we've been working on for the last little while is our instructional planning. The goal is to have a finalized instructional map for each teacher. Last year, we spent a lot of time on power standards. How are we assessing them at the end of the semester and making sure that they're learning what we want them to learn, not just all of the little things from each unit, but what's our big daddies? What are the power standards we want to do? So at the end of the first quarter, all of the departments got together. They reviewed their instructional plans for that first 9 weeks, because reflecting back on it, especially with new teachers who are starting new things and even older teachers who have started in different areas that they haven't taught in a few years, it's good to be able to reflect back on it. So that was a good team building for our teachers. That will go on throughout the rest of the year. That's our first goal. Our second goal, this is where we talk about a lot with our tier 2 and tier 3. We brought this up each time. We have our BIT team, we have our SLT team, and we have our behavior team, which is our district level, our grade levels. I'm trying to identify our tier 2 and tier 3 academic and behavioral kids. So an example out of this is we looked at the data from the first 9 weeks. It's a good time to really kind of consume where we're at. And in middle school, we saw an academic need for some kids on literally just getting some extra time. We have an advisory time, just 30 minutes on Monday and Friday, but a lot of those kids are simply not doing the homework they need to, putting the extra time in for tutoring. So we created a homework helper class during their elective times on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays for half a period, so they can work their way in, work their way out of that, depending on how their grades are doing, missing assignments are doing. And I like that the teachers bought into that sort of on a spontaneously, because they know by tracking the tier 2 academic kids through midterm and quarters, that these kids still need some extra support. The important part about that is it's done within the schedule and it's not a pull-out type of class. We're going to be moving into this Wednesday, our district level behavior team. We got a climate survey back. We saw some positive growth in that, but also in our world, our numbers are a little different. We had 8 brand new teachers to our building, less than people put in the survey. So we really needed to break through on where we're at on some of the specific questions about can the teachers teach with behaviors and can the students learn, and also the other goals that we have. So we have a tier 2 approach when we talk about on Wednesday, and trying to do a universal. This is going to be a district-wide universal. Janine and them will be doing it at their scheduled times, but we're going to crank into that this week. I told you I'd bring you some cell phone data. You guys have that on your agenda in December. I mean, all teachers, the middle school, please understand, the middle school is not part of this, because the middle school have been pretty well trained. Cell phones have not been a big issue for them moving in. They get their little bit of, I guess, freedom before school and at lunchtime, and that's still up for discussion on whether or not we want to keep that or away for the day. So cell phone data for the elementary or middle school has not been, it's almost non-existent. The high school is the big one, especially our seniors and juniors, which have had a lot of freedom in that for the last few years. So if you look at those numbers, 103, that was total cell phone minor majors came in last year. This year, we're already at 78. So that tells you immediately that there's been a consistency, a better approach with consistency with the teachers of enforcing the policy on the book. We talked about this last year. You know, you can't have one teacher that's letting it go. And I think with the new emphasis that it's in your locker, in your locker, in your locker, I think that it's easier now for everybody to be consistent with it. So I like that the numbers are up high, especially one year into it, but I hope that that levels off and that we can get things situated. But I ask teachers all the time, do they just feel like it's not as much of a issue as it was in the past.
That number's from the year?
That was for the whole year last year. This is for just 9 weeks this year.
Oh, boy.
So that's the wake-up call.
So, but they don't think it's a bigger issue, but it's been more of a violent.
They're enforcing it
They're
more.
enforcing it more. It's my perception. And it is definitely decreasing the last couple of weeks. That was
making a difference in
very good.
Super.
Here's the second part of it, and this is the part that you guys wanted more input on. So once we hit second quarter, we're really ramping up our enforcement of the cell phone policy, emphasizing that it's got to be in the lockers during class time. Okay, so we were worried kids are just going to leave class, go and check their phones, walk up and down the hallways with it, and we saw it was happening. So now we made it another teach to, reinforced it. And so if anybody has a phone in their possession, and be honest with you, I'm looking at pockets more than I've ever seen before. Now they're just hiding it in their boots or their bras, and I don't even know there. But the point of it all is where are we at on leaving class and trying to see, is that still a distraction? Because I'm getting the shakes or something, I got to get out there. The number of kids that are out there are not as high as they used to be, especially since we started reinforcing you can't even have it on. Okay.
So after Christmas, cold turkey.
Honestly, it's supposed to be cold turkey right now, but we're doing this as a lead in. And I say to you, for our seniors and juniors, our freshman, sophomore, I think they're kind of used to it coming out of it. But it's going to be a long haul for some of those older kids.
Yeah,
I'd love to see the middle school go cold turkey, not use it
Yeah.
until before school and after school.
What's the relation to tardies then?
It's not.
You just don't know
It's
what it
not.
is?
The tardies are just traditional tardies coming to school late.
That many more than?
I was gonna say, is that an all year versus?
Oh, I can honestly say that tardies are up this year, and it's mainly first and fifth period, lunchtime and before school. That's.
And we don't think that
90%.
extra cell phone time at the.
No, I'm not getting that. I mean, honestly, when they come through, because they all have to come through us, it's usually just getting to school late, or, you know, they could be out in the back and going in late. I don't know that. But it's not standing out in the hallway finishing a text or something like it used to be.
Yeah.
Because it's in the locker, and I don't see that part of this anymore. So I don't have a correlation for you to say that is the reason it's higher or not. Okay? Questions? All right. I went down a rabbit hole today, guys. I have been Deanna and I wanted to know, one of the things with the ISAC last year is we didn't feel it was connected with our ACT, definitely at the high school level, or even our middle school test. So I wanted to know with our new diagnostic, is the numbers of right here, are these numbers comparable with our first sign of the mask? Obviously, you see there's a huge problem because you've got 3 sections here and 4 here. But if I look at just the general feeling of it, when you see it go across, are these numbers, is our diagnostic data and our mask data kind of the same? And the reason I went down a rabbit hole is that I started really diving into what does literacy and informational mean when it comes to the ELA, and what does it mean ELA in our diagnostics? And to be honest with you, it's still an apple and orange. It's not the same. Our diagnostic test goes into much greater depth of what their skills are or are not, what they need to work on. So it's a better tool than what we had last year, at least in our perspective. Because what this does is any student that falls in this range, the program itself automatically puts them into a tutorial online program to work with that specific skill. So, I mean, it's just kind of a quick summary of it. When you talk about ELA, the diagnostic breaks it down into like pronouns, verbs, adjectives, phrases, varied sentences, capitalization, punctuation, spelling. Well, if you're being evaluated over here on the mask, the only thing that the mask says is that it's going to be syntax. So they will break it down into 3, in the particular student I saw, 6 questions that dealt with grammar, 6 questions that dealt with student structure, and six questions that dealt with like the informational or the literary part of comprehension. So I was hoping, I mean, I went and took the individual kids here, I put them in here. Are all the kids that are down here basically the same kids are down here? And it's not there. And this is what saved me. I think you can go to the next slide. Go one more. Oh, by the way, we're getting there. This is what Janine kind of talked about this a little bit. They talked about the misconceptions, and this is for the math, but I want to read that. It's important to note that these misconceptions and common errors are based on a single assessment and represent only a snapshot of a student's performance at that particular time. So we got to remember that. When we start talking math, we're not talking the same as the ACT for the juniors or even our, what was last year's? Not the ISAC, the. No, gosh, SBAC, sorry, SBAC. SBAC was an end of the year culminating type of test. And so with this little snapshot, I thought that's important. I like this one. For a complete picture of student understanding, these identified errors, what you see in the mask, should be considered alongside their performance in the other assessments. So now I see, and this was my, at the end of the day, all right, our diagnostic is alongside our mass assessment, and they're both going to be telling us what we need to do. And so when you're looking for growth, we want to see the mass scores go up from the fall to the winter, but it may not necessarily correlate the same as our diagnostic. So I hope that's making sense, but boy, it took me a lot of just breaking that down to figure it out. All right, so you go back one. This was our diagnostic for fall. We're just finishing our math. What I really like to see here about our fall diagnostic is that our numbers right here, this does correlate with our pre-ACT assessments that we had from 8th grade year and the 9th grade year. So that I don't have it up there, but once we get the math, we'll be able to see some of that stuff for the 7th and 8th grade. All right. Oh, Mr. Pickering, he works his butt off. So push play. This is our Halloween. He loves doing these things. We did give best prize for, I'll just show you the winners. She won the middle school, I think. There's the scariest one. We've had several dress up days this year, but I think we've had the highest number of kids just coming and having fun. All they do, they just, I mean, even some of the kids that just hate to come, you know, show up that day. So when you get older, you start relaxing and children. Now this, and I hope they get them both together. Barney Fife and Ron Morrison's son, was he Andy Griffin?
He was Andy, and they had Andy and Barney.
The funny part is we got some kids dressed up as Congo. Oh, that's it. You got it in us. All right. Mr. O'Shea, you may leave.
So here's some behavior data. On the top is last year, on the left is location referrals, And on the right, it's by behavior. It's kind of small to see what they are, but as we click it, you can see the current. And I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. Most of the things are happening in the classroom. So if you click it, it should pop up. Maybe you can click. There we go. Yeah, so there's this year's, and you can see through that same time period to August to November, very similar. And if you click again, it should just come up. Right?
Try your space bar.
There we go. Yeah, it's just showing, areas of where the behavior is. You can see bars are very similar as far as where they're happening and the type of behavior. You can go to the next one. Then again, we got last year's, that top right was last year too. Refer by grade, 7th to 8th to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then days of the week. And the bottom is the same data, the current year. And then the one thing, if you click it again, I think an arrow will pop up from last year's 7th graders on the right to who they are now as 8th graders. And there are so many 8th graders that I was unbelievable amount of refocus they would have and referrals first quarter, and they're doing so much better. If you had grown up, I would a lot of times would see a difference from an 8th grader to a 9th grader, but there's many kids that have just grown up in their 8th grade life. Just comparing those two, that's basically the same group of kids. There has been some that left and not there, but.
So even the 8th grade coming to 9th is 280 to 150, 166?
240 to 166.
240 to 166, yeah, 8th graders, which that's kind of.
9th to 10th, that's also huge.
That's a big change.
Yeah. So we go to the next one. Just our attendance awards. This was we do it every 4 weeks. So this one covered the entire quarter, and 7th graders and 12th graders at midterm, the same two classes won. I don't know if the 12th grade, because it's so small, they got 100%. I know last year's 8th graders, I don't think they won a whole, I can't recall. But anyways, so they got their award. So every 4 weeks, an award goes out. One to the middle school, one to the high school. And those are two that just won last time. And a bunch of pizza boxes too, but I don't know where that went to. But that just shows who won the last award. There'll be another one midterm, second quarter, for that 5th grade. Athletics, middle school basketball is off to a great start. 7th grade's 3-3, 8th grade's 2-3. Upcoming home is a home game against Big Fork Thursday at 4 and then at 5. So if you can make that, you'll see the middle school boys playing. Winter sports for high school, you can see the first day of practice for wrestling coming up, November 21st. Girls and boy basketball, November 25th, first day. They've already had a lot of open gyms. Speech debate committee at Sioux Falls this past Saturday. I didn't have the results, but their next meet is November 23rd at Ronan. That's all underway. Vape sensor update. We have 2 sensors that are live, which we've had since last January 23rd, I think was the first day installed. Yep. Senior boys, senior girls. Last year's, for the first 54 days they were installed, we had 77 hits. This school year, first 54 days, same 2 bathrooms, we have 39. Has it decreased? I doubt it. They just are getting smart, knowing that there's other bathrooms. There's no sensors. I don't know what took them so long. Maybe it has changed, but we have we have not had an alert since October 16 in those 2 bathrooms. Last year, it seemed like we'd get 1 or 2 a day. So they must be figuring out, but we have had 7 students that have been caught that have gone through the first vape, My Healthy Future vape education from Stanford University. They'll take at lunch, you fill out a booklet, go through the slides, and then a letter goes home along with the booklet that they filled out. So.
Was that of their choosing?
No, they don't have a choice. So instead of suspension, they get that for the first time. We have
If you keep that up on the mirror like that, I think that would reduce vaping right there.
What's that?
Just put your picture.
Oh yeah,
On the mirror.
Glue it on, just glue it on
Well,
there.
that's part of the installation. So I installed those. In the top picture, there was already a hole there, but wires went from, that's near Mr. Moe's classroom, the boys and girls middle school. So we have 2 sensors there now. wire goes from there to the other room into the computer jacks, whatever they are. And Charles just has to install the software, so those will be online soon. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of high schools will use that same bathroom because the art class is down that same wing right next to there. So there'll be high school and middle school kids in there. So we'll see what happens in that one. But those were just put in. Swag Day for middle school was a great success, I think. Mr. Bean put on a big show and helped us out. They had to have no F's, no missing assignments that last hour. I tried to get some videos on there too and other pictures, but I had trouble. I don't know what that arrow's doing there. But they had a lot of fun. And the students that didn't have that had to stay in the classroom with the teacher, working on their missing assignments. Parents, middle school parent council, you guys missed a great meeting. But Elida was there, and Mr. Germany stepped in there. We had four parents all together for the first meeting. So I think that's a pretty big success. So those are kind of the objectives we're going to look at. And we decided to continue to meet. It said the third Monday, that's actually the second Monday. So before the board meeting, we'll be meeting up at the middle school. If you want to ever come up there, that's where we'll be. And so it was a good first meeting.
Good starting that, Mr. Rasheen. It's good.
And I guess that's it.
How did the call-a-thon turn out?
Really good. I should have included those numbers there, but Nick has the numbers. I think it was, they
Over 40,000.
yeah, I think they passed last year's amounts.
So,
40-some thousand.
so is that like a pre-existing app we use? $50 minimum is so much.
Yeah,
And that's kind of high. And it seems like, you know, you just can same people go to the same well every year. Is there any option to lower it? I mean,
you mean the charge the company charges us?
well, the $50 minimum
Donation.
donation.
Oh, the
Plus
donation.
whatever percentage.
There's a minimum?
I seen them called me. I was surprised they called me this year.
I went less than that.
You did?
I went like 20 bucks.
I keep looking and looking. Last 3 years, I think I've given $50 each. Yeah.
You gotta click other. Other, and then more importantly, click the no tip. Cause that one got me really mad.
Yes, yes, I did see
And
that.
You're supposed to tell.
It's
the
like,
kids are
so when I
supposed
have
to-
the option to do like, you know, I want to do $25 in cross country, $25 in
Yeah.
soccer, that kind of thing.
You can do that. Not sure how you do that.
No, just-
Does it show?
Well, that was nice of you.
No one called me, so I can. That didn't work.
Better.
I
pay
thought I might get
closer
some calls
attention.
today or some requests.
Okay. So you do other,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments for them? Okay, we will move on to Mr. Beagle.
I don't have a fancy PowerPoint. I just have a quick list of just things that I've been working on.
I like it so far. Perfect. Good job.
Right there, I put the report.
When did you send it? Oh, right here, probably. Sorry about that.
That's great. Just, I guess, last couple of months, we've talked about and it's the last year of a grant. There was supposed to be some more money. They were supposed to give us. We finally got it. Just shy of 22,000, so it was actually 10,000 more than I was expecting. So that's kind of nice that I had half that already spent. This money still has to be allocated before the end of December, so just working on that. But basically, some PD training where we set up. Kind of working with Kerry Cole and Sandy Elmore a little bit to do some stuff in our schools and with Ron and I. Obviously, we can always put money into curriculum supplies and materials. So that's kind of where that money's going. Just a quick update on the new grant that the state just got. The information that Ron and I got the other day was basically OPI is basically putting together a list of schools in the state who qualify to put in for the grant. Pretty sure that will be one of the schools. So by in December next month, they're supposed to put up that list of schools who are actually eligible to apply for the grant. The writing of it will start late winter, early spring of this year. probably not gonna be looking at rewarding anything until a year from now, to where actual money, being able to start doing stuff with the grant won't actually take place for school year 26-27. So it's actually a year and a half out before, if we were to get it, we're a year and a half out from now before we have things up and going again. So it seems like a long time to get that up and going, but that just seems to be the process. Rachel Gott is the lady at OPI. She's basically doing all this by herself. Normally there's a team of 4 or 5 people writing the grant, helping put everything together. She wrote the grant, got it, and now is doing all this work. She's all by herself.
Whoa.
And so I think that's kind of what's slowing things up. Probably the best person we have at OPI is Rachel. And so she's working hard. It's just things are going slower. So just so you know, that's kind of what's going on. For whatever reason, our EOP, our emergency operating plans that we put together, which that was a 80-page document. We had the powers that be wanted us to update that and add all the individual schools' emergency plans into that document. So that 70-page document is now going to be a 150-page document. That's going to sit up on a shelf, but it's a little checkbox that Ron has that he can mark off. So it shouldn't take you that long to do it, but it's been taking for me a while. 25th are the days we have teacher conferences right before Thanksgiving break. The parents are actually going to be in this room doing training. Again, I forgot how long it takes to put together 14 hours of training. So I've just kind of been working hard on that. Going to have some OT-PT training stuff that is a yearly thing with ELS. Doreen's going to help out with some literacy stuff. Kelly Rigney Wolf is the SLP we have working with us from the hospital. Is going to do some speech language stuff. I'm going to spend some time going over special education, just paraprofessional stuff. They're actually going to launch some videos on kind of like Title IX complaints in the workplace, sexual harassment in the workplace, just to try to cover some catch-alls with that. So that's going to be taking place in here in those 2 days. Been working on that.
Is that lady coming in? Sam?
She's actually here right now. CPI renewal, I'm the trainer for the district. I actually have to go to Spokane on Tuesday. It's you do like a 10-hour online training to lead up to that, then it's a 1-day in class versus just going for like 3 days. So I just have to go get that certification out of the way on the 14th. Again, I kind of talked to you at the last week about the SPEDLOG conference, so I won't go over that. It was just great. Quick on the update of the preschool. We have 31 students right now enrolled. 8 of those have IEPs, one's a 504. There are 10 additional kids at the Head Start that have IEPs, and 6 more that we're currently looking at doing referrals for and doing testing. So the IEP world is just, a lot of those kids are speech, so don't freak out about those numbers. A lot of them are speech. And Garfinkel, I've mentioned her multiple times. Wonderful, wonderful person to work with. She's actually in here in Libby today and tomorrow. Was at the elementary school most of today. Going to be in our building a little bit tomorrow, and at the high school working with Mr. Patton. Again, just working in the classrooms, giving those teachers opportunities to ask questions, getting feedback, just working on techniques to help some of our more stronger behavioral kids have success. I think she's been wonderful for our programs. I think our teachers feel supported. Our kids are seeing great improvements. I think the paras are able to ask a lot of questions, get feedback, so they feel supported. So overall, it's been a great opportunity for her so far. So she's here 2 days a month for us. And then the other teachers, Janine and Jim mentioned the math training. If you don't know what a math assessment stands for, it's Montana Line 2 standards through the year is what that actually stands for. Window 1 actually for us closes on the 22nd. We're probably closer to 90%, 95% completed with that. So we're really close to having it done. So I appreciate all the teachers and the people working to get all that kind of stuff done. So that's just kind of all the fun stuff that I've been working on for the last 3 or 4 weeks. If you have any questions on any of that stuff, you're always welcome to come and hang out with me for a day and live a world of.
Find you.
Jim, we still plan on offering the ASVAB this year again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, just a quick note, my favorite person in the whole wide world, my favorite parent.
Betty Joe?
I actually got a text from her last week that said, hey, I'm at the park, my car won't start, can you come get me a jump?
No way.
So I went and gave her a jump, and I just said, I'm putting this in my contact log, so when you say that I'm not being helpful, I'm gonna come back to this date.
Man,
Wow.
Yeah, she was actually looking for Ron and Ryan to come out, which I'm happy to do that, but, so,
Who's this?
Thank you
Is it,
for
this is
doing
Betty Joe you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
No.
So, anyway, I was just kind of good humor. It changed you. Being accused of not being helpful enough, being exposed enough, and she was famous, so you remember this. Put this in that little back of your mind, if this is your mad at me, I'm gonna bring this up.
I don't blame you.
I'm trying to fill up that cup, put marbles in the positive cup,
Good,
so I
good.
can draw out of that later, so. That's all I have, unless you guys have questions.
Any questions for Mr. Beagle?
Sky, how much was that grant for if we get it awarded this state one?
It'll be, if it's as similar as last year, it'll probably be about a 5-year grant that's worth about, we get about 500,000 a year. So it'll be about a $2.5 to $3 million for our district, for the longevity of the grant. So it's usually about 500 a year is what we get.
If,
When we get it, excuse me, when we get it.
I like that. I like that better than if. When.
Okay, then moving on, Mr. Goodman.
Just a couple things right off the bat. I see Missoula County Public Schools is sharing a timeline for possible phone bans in schools. Hellgate Elementary students now leave their phones in their lockers, so this is taking place across the state.
Did you
across
see
the
that
nation.
headline?
Yeah.
Yeah, that said, the principal said,
So calm.
the school is so calm now.
Yep.
That was the headline.
You know, one of the things that they talk about in that book is, kids get about like 50 notices in an hour. Up. I picked up the cell phones this morning. I take my little boot box and collect them. And you've done well when you're sitting there taking it back and the phone, it's like a bunch of rattlesnakes in there just buzzing. And it's just like, yeah, how are you ever supposed to focus on your learning if you're constantly getting information from people? So, November report. Lots of good communication with parents. Almost 300 posts at the elementary school and 85 posts. So looking at the percentage, if you look at the percentages, 97% as far as reach and 99%. The office ladies, they're constantly updating that, and it's amazing to me if you pay attention to it. It'll go down to 95, back up to 99. It's just because people are changing their phone numbers, changing all that business. That's happening on a regular basis. And so there's good stuff. I don't know why in the district level it still says 0, send some stuff out. But I just won't complain about it. So, next slide. Climate work for Tier 1 prevention. So when we say Tier 1, what we're talking about is prevention, because we know that if 80% of the students are being bad, then before we fix 80% of those students, we got to get it down to have a more manageable number of students. You just can't do really in detailed work with a large percentage of the students. So the question that we've been asking, working with this on the behavioral team, is student behavior that allow teachers to teach and students to learn. We have these 5 steps that we're looking at doing to reduce the number of kids that need intervention. So this is, again, focusing on prevention. Number 1, increasing intellectual engagement in the classroom. So the more engaged students are in the work, the less engaged they're going to be in trouble. If we increase the climate within the classroom, within a ratio of positive to negative, meaning we're paying more attention to what we want and what we don't want. That also is a big reduction in people. Things are going smooth in the classroom and the kids feel appreciated and all that kind of stuff. This is it's an evidence-based approach. Number 3, increase student training on expected behaviors. You heard that slant. In a second, get done, you'll get to see the slant behavior. This is something that we've used across the district in the past. And one of the things that we wanted to, one of the strategies that we wanted to do is have a behavior that we teach students that goes K-12. So if kids are getting pretty well understood what it takes place in first grade or second grade, this pays dividends over the years. And so, slant would be, we're going to go pre-K 12 through 12. Training in December for engagement strategies. I've got that set up. Pretty pleased about that. I think that'll be very good. And then modeling in the classroom is being worked on. I got some modeling set up. We're not talking about the Kardashians though. That kind of modeling. Are they models or this is?
I don't know. There are no woodies.
Thank you. I would agree. So we have one opportunity to model in the classrooms, and I think that would be just really great as well. And in my mind, what's the solution to getting the student behaviors back into place where teachers can teach and students can learn? Everything's on the table as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's one easy thing that's going to take place and solve this. It's going to be a scratch to get back where we want to be. And so I would just say this much: the meetings we've had with the behavior team has been encouraging to me. And again, it's going to be a lot of work. It's not anything that's just going to be easy. Oh, if we did this or did that, or it's going to be solved. It's not that. It's going to be a multiple event that's going to move things where we want to go. Now, Leslie, if you can hit the slant button.
My first year teaching, lesson planning was rough. I was spending so much time after school and on weekends looking for resources to use in my
It's very simple to slant. First, you sit up. Second, you lean forward. Third, you ask good questions. Fourth, you nod your head. Fifth, you track the speaker. Doing these 5 things show a speaker that you are slanting and you're listening. SLANT. Let's think about when we should slant. The first and most important one is when a teacher or friend is teaching. It's really important to show that you're listening. Next, it's also important to show that you're listening during big assemblies like character counts or awards. It's also important for you to show your slant during specials, during art, music, and finally, when a guest visits. When someone comes into the classroom, you should definitely slant.
So that's an example of the universal strategy that we can use across the district, and I think that would be very smart. It's one of the items that's going to help us out. That's not me.
Welcome. I'm very excited today to talk about effective speaking in spontaneous situations. I thank you all for joining us, even though.
That's very spontaneous. Oh, yeah, it's a couple items that I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this. So this is a solution for an age-old problem. The creek bed between back to high school and the football field over the years has gained in elevation. So the pipe that you see in the back wasn't working because it kept getting higher and higher and higher because of ongoing leaves and other material that was built up, dirt. And so this is not a creek, by the way, this is an irrigation ditch. We were able to do anything we wanted with this. And so this is a solution that'll work for years and years, at least long enough for us to be an NGT event for me. So Terry did a nice job with this, and that's a great solution. If you look in the background, you can see that big mud puddle, and it almost looks like big enough to be a swimming pool when it rains. So if we don't get that fixed, it's going to blow that new asphalt out. And so that's a very good thing it's taken care of. Next slide. Oh, yeah, project is uplifting. The lift station. That lift station is 60 years old, and it has 2 pumps in it that are 3-phase electrical. And I don't know how they lasted that long, but I can just tell you this, and Terry Odewalt, you know, I think in terms of his experience over the years, before we even started, we had all the pumps on order and all that stuff, before he didn't want to show up the day that and dig it up, he digged it up in advance to know what was underneath there, which I thought was super smart. There's a vault that nobody knew anything about. And so all of this was just like digging up some kind of a archaeological dig in Egypt or something like that. Nobody knew what was down there. So Terry snooped it out and then covered it back up so that there wouldn't be any surprises when we hooked this up. And so it is going to be scheduled on November 25th, and this has been a big project. And I can just tell you, if that lift station doesn't work, it's going to get mighty messy in the high school. That is not a good situation. So I feel like the maintenance guys did a super job on that, as far as, you know, finding people to do that kind of work anymore is difficult as well. And so they scoped it out, and it's going to turn out pretty well. November 25th, scheduled during parent-teacher conferences, because we hope that there's going to be a lot less flushing of toilets during parent-teacher conferences when the kids are there. So that is going to get put together pretty quickly. I think that's the direction. That's all. All right, super duper. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question about I apologize if you talked about it last month, but the missed day that we had because of the power outage. How does that affect our days going forward?
Good question. This is a good thing to know. You get one freebie.
That's what I thought.
Oh, really?
One freebie.
So the next one we're gonna have to make up.
So, and this is worth good conversation. What we know is that if we delay the buses, and say we set them out at 8 o'clock, that means the kids get to the building at 10 o'clock. So in this situation, we have, if we have to cancel because of slip roads or something like that, we're going to be in a position of having to make up that time some way somehow. So get to the agreed hours. So hopefully that won't happen. We will not have any slippery roads or any more power outages or any of that kind of stuff. So, because that was it.
No snow for winter. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Goodman? Okay, moving on. We do not have any resignation, retirement, reduction of force, or non-renewals. So we will move on to consideration of staff contracts and transfers. Looks like we have hiring, it should be Cooper Mills, right? Not Copper Mills. As Libby Middle. Okay. Oh gosh, he might not answer.
It's Copper now forever.
Libby Middle School track coach, and then update to substitute list. So you might see some familiar names on there, which I think is kind of cool. Don Campbell, Rachel Dooley, John England, Candace Hall, and Dean Thompson. I think we can lump those together if there is a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the Libby Middle School assistant track coach and the substitute list.
Second.
I have a motion by Sam and a second by Ellen to approve the staff contracts as listed. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay, moving on. Old business, we don't have any of that. And so, new business, consideration of multi-district participation agreement, Montana Schools Unemployment Insurance Program.
And this is the one you have to read everything.
No, I don't think so. It's pages long. I better not have to read it.
Read it.
Oh, no.
We'll be here for another half hour, you guys.
Don't read it.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's the one I talked about that at all.
It's just, we've used this same Montana company for our unemployment insurance. I don't know how many years. They're just updating their contract with us. I think they're doing it for all schools, actually.
Were there any changes or?
No.
Okay. Okay, then I need a motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve the multi-district participation agreement, Montana Schools Unemployment Insurance Program.
Second.
I have a motion by Sam and a second by BG to approve the multi-district participation agreement Montana Schools Unemployment Insurance Program. Any questions or comments anymore? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passed. Consideration of Lincoln County campus of FDCC and Libby School District Number 4 welding room usage contracts.
Those will be coming up. And so we gathered some information. I didn't see any problem that was at the high school, and they didn't have any problem at FDCC. So if they have enough people to do the classes, we're going to be green lighting that as soon as they send it our direction.
We did this last year also.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
The adult one, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve, please.
I move that we approve the consideration of Lincoln County campus of FBCC and Libby School District Number 4 welding room use content. How about that? I read.
Second.
I have a motion by BG and a second by Sam to approve the contract as read. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by BG and a second by Sam to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed.
So.
We have
Mr.
I'll
Rashid,
just have in the same boat.
I asked Ron about